There comes a point in your life when everything gets quiet. No applause. No encouragement. Just silence. Your friends are out partying. Your phone doesn't ring. The world moves on and you feel left behind. But what if that silence isn't loneliness? What if it's the sound of transformation? Because real growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you're alone, raw, stripped of distractions, forced to face your fears, your flaws, and your potential. Not everyone will understand your path. That's okay. It's not theirs to walk. This is your season of becoming. And it begins in the quiet. Nobody tells you that the path to becoming someone new doesn't begin with gaining. It begins with losing. Losing people. Losing comfort. Losing who you thought you were supposed to be. We like to talk about growth as if it's this glorious, upward climb, this exciting, Instagrammable journey filled with breakthroughs and wins. But most of the time, growth feels like grief. It feels like standing in a room you once felt safe in, and suddenly realizing it no longer fits you. It feels like hearing your own voice in the silence and not recognizing it. It feels like mourning the version of you who could ignore the pain, pretend everything was fine, smile without thinking too much. You start to miss the noise. Even the distractions. Because at least they kept you from hearing the truth inside. The truth that your friendships no longer align. That your old routines were keeping you small. That the life you built was rooted in pleasing others, not honoring yourself. And once you hear that truth, you can't unhear it. You begin to outgrow spaces you used to pray to belong in. You start walking away from people who once felt like home, and it hurts. You'll question yourself. You'll question everything. You'll wonder, am I making a mistake? Because becoming new feels a lot like falling apart. But here's what no one tells you. This breaking is sacred. This unraveling is necessary. You are not falling apart. You are shedding. You are letting go of the parts of yourself that were never truly yours. The borrowed beliefs. The outdated dreams. The roles you were taught to play. You are not broken. You are breaking free. You'll sit in stillness night after night. And in that stillness, something remarkable happens. You begin to hear your own voice again. Not the voice of fear. Not the voice of ego. But the voice of truth. Of clarity. Of power. You'll begin to rebuild. From the inside out. Not for the world to applaud. But because your soul is no longer willing to be silenced. And though no one may see the transformation as it's happening, one day they will. They'll look at you and say you've changed. And for the first time, you'll smile and say, yes, I have. Finally. As you begin to grow, you will begin to outgrow. Outgrow habits. Outgrow conversations. Outgrow environments. And hardest of all, outgrow people. Not because you've become arrogant. Not because you no longer care. But because some connections were rooted in the version of you that you are no longer becoming. Some friendships are built on shared wounds, not shared growth. And when healing begins, those bonds start to break. This isn't betrayal. This is evolution. We like to believe we can carry everyone with us, every friend, every relationship, every memory. But transformation has a weight limit. And the higher you rise, the more selective you must become with what and who you carry. You'll start to feel it. That uncomfortable tension when you're around people who knew the old you, but don't recognize the new one. You'll find yourself shrinking to stay relatable, laughing at jokes that no longer feel funny, avoiding your truth so you don't disrupt their comfort. But here's the danger. When you silence your growth to keep others comfortable, you begin betraying the person you're meant to become. Some people will only love the version of you that doesn't outshine them. They'll celebrate your pain but grow quiet around your healing. They'll support your survival but not your success. They'll say you've changed like it's an accusation when it's really your salvation. And that's when the real work begins. You will have to let go. Not just of toxic people, that's easy. You'll have to let go of good people. The kind ones. The familiar ones. The ones you shared laughs and late nights and history with. But history is not enough reason to sacrifice your destiny. And yes, it will hurt. You'll feel guilty. You'll second-guess yourself. You'll be tempted to go back to smallness just so you're not alone. But remember this. Loyalty to others is noble. Until it becomes disloyalty to your own growth. So choose wisely. Surround yourself with people who don't just tolerate your evolution, they expect it. Who challenge your mind, not your worth. Who expand your dreams, not diminish them. Who call you out, not to shame you, but to remind you of your strength. Find people whose presence feels like permission. Permission to rise. To change. To become. Because without inspiration, even the brightest soul can flicker out in the dark. And without the right voices around you, you may forget how powerful yours truly is. Sometimes we don't need someone to save us. We just need someone to say the right words at the right moment to remind us we can save ourselves. Not lectures. Not empty motivation. Just truth. Raw. Unfiltered. Uncomfortable, maybe, but necessary. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. Let's be honest. You know what you should be doing. You know the habits that are draining you. You know the distractions stealing hours you'll never get back. But knowledge doesn't change your life. Discipline does. Discipline is quiet. It won't clap for you. It shows up when no one is watching. It's brushing your teeth with tired eyes. It's turning off the phone to face your thoughts. It's doing the hard thing again and again without needing applause. It's boring. And it's powerful. Because comfort is the enemy of your calling. You don't grow when it's easy. You grow when it's hard. You want strength? Stop wishing for an easier path. Wish for stronger legs to walk the one you're on. Our days aren't proof that you're failing. They're proof that you're stretching. That you're shedding old limits, old excuses, old identities. Growth doesn't look like a straight line. It looks like crying in your car after doing something brave. It looks like starting over. Again. It looks like healing and hurting at the same time. Failure is not final. It's feedback. You didn't mess up. You leveled up by trying. You stepped into the arena. You took a swing. You cared. And that alone puts you miles ahead of those still watching from the sidelines. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the tuition you pay to become great. Ask yourself, what did this teach me? What can I try differently now? If you're willing to learn, nothing is wasted. Don't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You scroll. You see their success, their body, their lifestyle. They're perfect after photo. But you don't see the sacrifices, the breakdowns, the doubts they battled in private. We all bloom at different seasons. A sunflower and a cherry blossom grow under the same sun, but they don't bloom at the same time. You're not late. You're not behind. You're just blooming in silence. Your new life will cost you your old one. And yes, it's a high price. You'll have to let go of the version of you that tolerated less. The version that stayed quiet to be liked. That chased validation instead of purpose. That chose safety over becoming. But hear this. You don't have to burn your past to the ground. You just have to stop living in it. This isn't abandonment. It's evolution. Pain has a way of arriving uninvited. It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask for permission. It just appears. In the middle of a conversation. In the quiet of the night. In a moment that once felt safe. And suddenly the life you knew begins to unravel. You wonder why now? Why me? You look for meaning in the chaos. You search for someone to blame, yourself, the world, even fate. But deep down what you're really asking is, will this break me? Here's the truth. Pain is not trying to break you. It's trying to shape you. Not into someone harder, but into someone deeper. Someone more honest. More awake. More whole. You see, pain isn't always punishment. Sometimes it's permission. Permission to pause. To reflect. To walk away from the life you built on autopilot. And begin building one on purpose. It slows you down not to stop you, but to realign you. It hurts not because you're weak, but because you're becoming more sensitive to what matters. Pain wakes you up. It strips away the noise. It removes people who never truly saw you. It highlights what was false, so that what is real can rise. It makes space. For truth. For clarity. For rebirth. And yes, it will tear through your illusions. Your plans. Even your identity. But what it leaves behind is something more unshakable than comfort. Wisdom. There's something I want you to remember, especially on the days when you feel like giving up. This is not how your story ends. This is just the page where the character is tested. It's the storm before the calm. The silence before the breakthrough. The heavy breath before the second wind. You've walked through fire, but you're not ashes. You've been lost, but never gone. You've broken, but breaking is not the same as being destroyed. So if you're in a dark season right now, hear this. The darkness is not here to punish you. It's here to prepare you. Sometimes life removes everything you thought you needed. Not to hurt you, but to make space for what was always meant for you. You're not being left behind. You're being realigned, recentered, rebuilt. And no, it doesn't always feel good. Growth rarely does. But in this very discomfort, something sacred is happening. Because the truth is, your best moments don't live in your past. They're quietly waiting in your future, just beyond your doubt. The version of you who feels lost today is simply standing at the doorway of the version of you who's about to rise. So take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground, and remind yourself, I've come this far, and I'm not done yet. Let others rush. Let the world move fast. You're building something that lasts, and what's ahead of you is worth every lonely night, every tear, every quiet victory that no one clapped for. Keep going, not because it's easy, but because you were never meant to stop here. They told you to dream big. They told you to hustle hard. They told you to move fast, chase more, become more. But no one told you about this part. The stillness, the waiting, the quiet in-between, the seasons when it feels like nothing is working, when progress moves like molasses, when the world races past you, and all you can do is breathe and believe. This is the part no one celebrates. No one claps for the seed underground. No one cheers for roots growing in silence. But without those unseen inches, nothing strong will ever rise above the surface. Because the truth is, fast growth is often fragile. But what's grown with patience lasts. Patience is not passive. It's not giving up. It's the quiet commitment to show up again and again, even when the results don't show up yet. It's working when no one notices. It's healing when no one claps. It's believing when the evidence still says, not yet. In a world that glorifies speed, performance, and applause, patience is rebellion. Patience is wisdom. Patience is power. We think we're waiting for success, but often success is waiting for us to become steady enough to carry it, to become deep enough to hold it. So be patient with your journey. Don't compare your chapter 2 with someone else's chapter 20. Let your roots grow deep before you ask to rise tall. Because what's built with rush collapses with pressure. But what's built with depth outlives the storm. And freedom? It doesn't come from arrival. It comes from knowing. I can keep walking, even when it's slow, even when it's silent, even when no one's watching. That is unshakable. That is real. If you've made it this far, take a moment, breathe, and honor yourself. Because this wasn't just a video. This was a mirror, a reminder, a quiet conversation between your present self and the version of you that's still becoming. And now you stand at a crossroads. You can close this tab, go back to scrolling, and let the world blur your voice again. Or you can pause, really pause, and ask yourself, what am I building in silence right now? And is it leading me toward the life I truly want? Because the truth is, no one's coming to walk this path for you. But that's not a curse. That's your power. The quiet seasons, the lonely steps, the small daily choices no one sees. They are not wasted. They are sacred. They're the blueprint of the person you're becoming. And if this video stirred something in you, if it made you feel seen even for a moment, don't let that feeling fade. Carry it. Nurture it. Let it guide your next step, even if it's small. And if you need a place to return to when the world gets loud, subscribe. Stay with us. This is more than a channel, this is a space. For becoming. For healing. For rising quietly, powerfully on your own terms. So here's to you. Not the perfect version. Not the finished one. But the one who keeps going. That is more than enough.